Uh, Hi everyone, and thanks for joining the session. In spite of your busy schedule on Sunday, you have took some time uh, to attend this Power BI demo. Okay, so you might be having we have a different set of the audience coming over here. Some may from the non-technical background, or some may be into the different field, some may be into like a healthcare, or some are into the non-technical background, and they want to shift their career into the Power BI. Okay. So before going to give an introduction about like if you join in any course, so the first thing you need to understand, so what is the course that you are going to learn? So here you might be seeing a lot of the messages where you got a lot of notification have been popping up to your mobile that we have a demo of Power BI on 11 a.m. today. So first of all, I would like to give an introduction about the Power BI. So to a non-technical background or who may be into a technical background, so what is the use of this Power BI? Okay, so we can say this Power BI, we call it as a visualization tool. So what is meant by the visualization tool? That means now every organization now it depends upon the data. Okay, so any organizations, it may be a small organization or it may be a large organization. So every organization is depending upon the data. So we have lot of the data is flooded in the market. This may be a reason like due to the emergence of the social media, or we have the Twitter, LinkedIn, lot of the data we have available right now. So every industry is looking at a tool which can utilize the data. From the data, we can create some graphs or we can create some visuals so that the client can interpret his data easily. Okay. It's very simple. If I provide the data in Excel, suppose it is having some 1 lakh rows. If same data I will use one tool and provide in the form of graphs or some visuals, so the interpretation of the data which is provided in the visual format will becomes more important for a client to understand his business. So here Power BI is a tool which will be connecting to the data provided by the client. And by using this tool, you will convert the data in the form of visuals. From that visuals, you create the reports, and these reports you share it to the client. So simply in the coming of 2 months of the course, if you join, you will be learning a tool called as Power BI, which is called as visualization tool. In a simple thing, this is a tool which will help to create the visuals from the data which is provided by the client. It's very simple. Okay. Now coming to my introduction. So my name is Janardhan Patipaka. So I'm been into the teaching it's more than 12 years. Right from I started, I am also from a non-technical background. I'm from a pharma MBA students where I did my B Farm. And after teaching into different platforms, like it's been teaching the software students. It's been our 4 or 5 years. Before that, I have taught for the NEET students like pharma, GPAT, NIPER. Like it also have taught for some group 2, group 1, and also for some competitive examinations. So this is the 18th batch where I have been trained the Power BI course. We have started the batch in April 2024, but within the launch of last 1 year, we are able to run the total 18 batches for training the Power BI and SQL. Okay. So not only this, we have been associated with other pharma institutes in Hamirpet. Like I went for the guest lecture for giving the lectures related to the Power BI in another some engineering colleges and also some corporate lectures. So about this is my first batch where I started. Initially, I started my career with the pharma, like treating for the GPAT and NIPA students. And as the term progresses, when I shifted my career into the software, I've been in teaching to the Power BI and SQL. And we have run few batches for the advanced Excel as well. Okay. Now coming to this is a brief introduction about myself. And coming to actually what I said, like we are here to discuss about the Power BI, right? So before understanding, like I have said at my first point of the discussion, this Power BI is useful for creating some visuals from the data. And one more thing, If you join in any course, it may not only a Power BI, you may go to the Gen AI or it may be any course. First of all, you need to understand the first thing, what is the job opportunities if you learn that course? Is there any demand for this particular tool? And how long it will take to get expertise in this particular tool? So after completing the course, what are the companies that are offering the jobs for the Power BI developer? So these are the common questions will be revolving around for anyone joining any course, not only Power BI, you can join any other courses like SQL or any other courses like DevOps. The first thing after, it is not like somebody is teaching you and you are joining the course. So what is your fate and what is your opportunities that you will be getting after completing this course? So the first thing you need to understand, is there any demand for this particular course? Okay. So when you look at the Power BI, I already said this Power BI will depend upon the data. Will with the help of the Power BI, it is a tool we can connect with the data. From that, you will create some visuals which you will be sharing to the client. Now, first you need to look at what is the demand for the data, how the data is growing since past few decades, right? How the global data is growing annually. So when you look at in the 2010, this is the one zettabyte. We have this zettabyte of the data. In the 2010, you can see more about like 5 or 10 zettabytes of the data which is there in 2010. But as the time progresses from 2010, 11, 12, 14, 2016, and 19, this data is growing tremendously. So it has picked, it is picking at the rocketing speed. The reason being, now due to this emergence of the social media, or maybe due to the emergence of this digitalization, and most of the things went online. So everything we are depending upon the online. Suppose if you search any website for any loan, and immediately many people will, some way your data is tracked at the back end, and immediately after that many people will become, if you just you share your email ID or phone number, and many persons will be calling you. So it means like when you are, once you are in online, once you give your email ID or phone number, so there are the different ways or many organizations they are using your data. That the reason being, when you look at from the 2010 to 2019, so the hourly spending on internet for a person is increased. This may be due to the internet which is provided at the low cost. It may be due to the emergence of the smartphones. We cannot, like out of these people, we cannot say like any people will be having, there are 4 or 5 social media apps installed in your mobile, and you cannot find any person who don't have the mobile in their hand. So as due to the emergence of the rapid digitalization, so the data is growing very rapidly. When you look at in the 2019, this curve has a breakthrough because due to the 2019, the world has experienced a situation called as COVID pandemic, where the hourly spending upon the internet has been increased. So due to it, from there it has picked up, and due to the emergence of digitalization, the data is growing very rapidly. Now in the industry, every organization has the data, but now the world is looking at a tool which will use this data which is there in the online, and convert that data into some meaningful reports so that they can interpret the business very easily. So here this is a Power BI is a tool which will use this data which is provided by any client, and from that you can create some beautiful interactive visuals. Now you can ask me, sir, before that, is the Power BI this before the launch of this Power BI, are there any tools which will provide such visuals or reports, create the reports from the data? Yes, previously we have some MicroStrategy is a tool, which is a visualization tool. We have a tool called as ClickSense, which was leader in the market for quite time. And after that, we have a tool called as Tableau, which has replaced by the Click, and the Tableau has become a market leader. It is also a visualization tool. Now, after the Tableau, the Power BI came into the picture in the year of 2017. So once the Power BI is entered into the market, so all the organizations are shifted their projects to Power BI. The only reason is It is a very easy tool that a person from a non-technical background who has a very common sense to understand the data can able to learn this Power BI. And we can able to create the charts from this Power BI because this user interface is very user friendly. Like it's operating, some of the visuals is like operating some people who are having the basic knowledge on operating the smartphone and understanding some logics and thinking in a common sense can able to learn the Power BI. First thing, a person with any non-technical background can also learn Power BI. If they have some knowledge on Excel, it will be become very easy for them to understand some DAX. So that is the only part where the people will be facing some difficulties. Okay. So the first thing, as long as there is a demand in the data, this demand growing the data will never stops. Reason being, because as the time progresses, the person depending upon this digitalization, like digitalization has been increased. Now, even to the remote areas, also the data has spread very rapidly and they are using their most of the hours spending on online is increasing and everything has went into the online. So there will be generation of the data globally. So as long as there is a demand in the generation of the data, there will be a tool which will work efficiently with the data, and from this data which will create some reports where that reports are used by the client. Now you can see, as I already said, the data is uh, growing at a very rapid speed. Because when you open the Google Play Store, it has used more than 3.5 million Android apps are available. And when you look at the mobile users also, the more than 5.48 billion users, mobile face are used, mobile phone users in the world today, according to the latest data. And you can see most of them, 80% of these apps will be available for a person like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp, LinkedIn. So these are become the part and parcel of the human life. So you have the phone pay, GPay, and these are the have because you can see even like you cannot go even a small tiffin center they are using the phone pay and GPay. So that means most of the people have changed their lifestyle into the digitalization. That's why the growing of the demand of the data generation of the demand is picking up a very rocketing speed. And one more thing, how you can confirm that I have said that data is generating very rapidly, because you can say in every second 1.7 million data of the new information is created in the online. And one more thing, when you look at the past 2 years, right from you forget about 2009 1990s or 2000 or something, only in the past 2024 and 23 we can compare. Only in the last 2 years 90% of the data which is generated is only into the last 2 years. That means as the time progresses, as the digitalization has been increasing, hourly spending upon internet is increasing. So the data is generating at the very huge speed. And the hourly spending on increase internet is increasing. Reason being the Google process more than 40,000 searches we are doing at every second in the internet. That means at the back end it is generating the data. So at one point of the time, so more than 3.7 billion humans are using this internet, and we are watching more than 4 lakh something YouTube videos are watching every minute. So in the Twitter, it is generating the lot of the data. The Instagram, the post, we are more than 46,000 of photos we are uploading in the Instagram. So the comments for any the tweets that you are mentioning in case of some healthcare, some conference is going on. So these Twitter, YouTube, these are the comments which you are uploading. These are the live information. Every organization will depend upon the comments which are live. Suppose you have launched any drug molecule. So there is a Twitter platform where there is a healthy discussion is happening among that molecule. So that is will become a very big insight for a organization who are launching any product. So that's why any organization, it may be healthcare, it may be retail, it may be finance, it may be any field, for them, depending upon the data is a must and thing for them. Okay. So for that, they are looking for the tool. This is the Power BI, which can efficiently work with the data, connect with the data. With the help of that, we can clean the data and we can create the reports where the final end user called as client, where he can interpret his business very easily. Now rise in like we have said rise in the active spending on the social media and the digitalization leads to tremendous increasing the data nowadays. When you see at the Facebook which are launched in 2004, YouTube, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, Google Pay, Phone Pay. So these are launched very recently, but now it has every mobile that single user we are using, 90% they have these apps in this mobile. So that means this, depending upon the social media, is becoming a part and parcel of our life. So thereby, the generation of the data is picking at a very fast speed. Now we have understand before, like we have understand there is a huge demand of the data. We have understood that every second and every minute, lot of the information is being generated in the on internet or uh, it is generated on the internet. So this, with the help of the Power BI, we can create the reports. So first, you need to understand Power BI. What is meant by Power BI? The word BI we call it as business intelligence. So before understanding any information like anything, you need to understand the terminology. What is business intelligence? Okay. The word business intelligence means by using any tools, we use any tools or we use any methods or by using some techniques, you will collect the data. So I have already said the data is generated in the online. The business intelligence means by using the tools, by using the methods, by using any techniques, you will collect the data. The first thing, if the data is there, first thing, what if the client comes to you to give a report on particular data? What is the first step? That first you need to collect the data. What is the second step? After collecting the data, you need to analyze the data. So after analyzing the data, the third one, what you need to transform the data. What is meant by transform the data? The client will provide you the data. It may not be in some organized format. You need to convert the data into the organized format so that you can load into the tool. Okay. So by using, so here one, we are not discussing about methods and techniques. We are discussing about the Power BI. Power BI is a tool, right? It is a business intelligence tool, right? By using the tools, we will collect the data, we will analyze the data, and we will transform the data into organized format. And after the transforming the data, you will convert this data into valuable and meaningful information. What is meant by valuable and meaningful information? This data, you may convert this data into some visuals. You may convert the data into some reports. And you will convert the data into some meaning information means converting the data in the form of graphs or visuals, some reports, so that the client can interpret his business easily. So once you create the reports by using the tools, once you create a reports from this data, what you will do, the next step, you will share that report to the client. Okay. Now, what is the use of the report to the client? Now, the client will use that information, which is provided in the form of visuals, to improve his business process, improve his decision making process, how to optimize his business. What are the areas that the products are decreasing? So, what is his strategies to improve his business? So how, whether he want to diversify the market, whether he want to enter into the new areas, he want to see what are the top selling products. He want to see which regions your products are not performing well. He want to see which regions are performing well, which category of the products is performing well, which subcategory of the categories are not performing well, which headquarters they are performing well. That type of that type of useful information, once you provide in the form of the graph, once you share it to the client, then the client will analyze his business performance and he will take his business decisions to optimize his business. So this process is called as business intelligence. In a single one liner, the business intelligence is nothing but by using some tools, you will collect the data, you will analyze the data, and you will transform the data into organized format. From that, you will create some meaningful information in the form of graphs. And from that, you will share the information to the client, that will report to the client. And the client will take his business decision to improve his business performance. This process is called as business intelligence. Now, a tool that we are going to learn, which is called as Power BI. With the help of the Power BI, you can collect the data, you can analyze the data, you have the Power Query where you can transform the data. From that, you can create the reports by using Power View, and from that reports you will share it to the client. So this process is called as business intelligence. And the primary goal of business intelligence is to convert the raw data, which is provided by the client, to meaningful insights, and that can guide the strategic and tactical business decision for the client. So this entire process is done by using the tool called as Power BI. That's why this is called, that's why Power BI, they are saying it as business intelligence tool. Some people we call it as visualization tool because with the help of Power BI, we can create the visuals. Some may call it as Power BI is a business intelligence tool because it will perform the operations of this business intelligence. Now, Power BI is when you ask in a single one liner, what is Power BI? Simply, I can call Power BI is a business intelligence software. But when you ask for the few people, they will they will give a different definition for the Power BI. Some people we call it as ETL software. Why Power BI we call it as ETL software? First, you need to understand what is meant by ETL. The process of ETL means E stands for extraction, stands for transformation, and L transform for load. E means extraction. What is meant by extraction? Connecting to the data. Suppose when you join as a Power BI developer, the first thing is the client will come with some requirement. Okay, he will provide some, suppose he provides some data, he is running some education. Suppose you take a simple example. So Apollo Pharmacy is a client, very simple raw example. So they will provide all the drug detail, the sales of details of all Apollo chain pharmacies in the form of one Excel. They will store it. If it is a huge data, they will store it somewhere in the database like SQL, and they will provide the credentials. So the process of connecting that data, which is provided by the client, that process is called as extraction. This E stands for extraction. And what is meant by transformation? The transformation means if the data is provided in the form of raw format, if it is not in an organized format, you will convert the data into a organized format. Okay, that with the help of this in the Power BI, we have a tool called as Power Query, where it can help in the transforming your data. So you have some 100 or 150 menu based options in the Power BI. With the help of that menu based option, you can transform your data based upon your requirement. Okay, the T stands for transformation. So once you load the data, transform your data, and what is the next step? You will load the data into the Power BI tool. So this process is called as the process, this E extraction, connecting the data. T means transforming the data into the organized raw data into organized data. L stands for load. This ETL, in order to perform this ETL operation in the Power BI, within the Power BI, we have a one tool called as Power Query. So this Power Query is called as ETL software. Due to the presence of that Power Query within the Power BI, that's why people are calling it as ETL software. Okay, when you look at Power BI, when you join in the course, we'll be completing the course in three parts. In the first, we'll be discussing about Power Query, where we'll be discussing about this ETL. Next process, we'll be discussing about, I will in the coming classes, coming slides, you will be able to know what is that Power Pivot. Next, we will be analyzing the data, how we will perform the data analysis called as Power Pivot. And the third one, we'll discuss how to create the visuals. The Power BI course will be divided into three parts. Okay, and finally, how to publish the report. That is a Power BI service is a different thing. So the first, this ETL transformation will be done by the Power Query. That's why some people are calling them it as ETL software. And some people they are calling it as data analysis software. The reason being with the help of Power BI, we will do the data analysis. I'm saying client will provide the data, how they will provide the data and how they will store the data. They will store the data in the form of tables, right? It becomes any organization.
If they store the data in SQL or databases, or they store in the any database, most of them in the database they will store in the form of tables. Okay. So while after loading the data, you will try to establish the relationship between the tables. Suppose I want to create the visual where my data is present in the two different tables. I have table A, I have the table B, but I want to create a visual. With the help of this, I need the data from two different tables. With the help of these two different tables, I want to create a visual. So I'm taking the data from table A and table B. But in order to create the visual from two different tables, I need to establish the relationship between the tables by looking at some what is the common information, what is the common column between them. By utilizing that common column, you try to establish the relationship between the tables. You need to build the relationship between the tables. Then only you can create a visual which will carry the data from the two different tables. So those type of the data analysis we'll be doing in case of the Power Pivot, where we can learn how to create the relationship between the tables, how to establish the relationship between the tables. Okay. Then we'll discuss how to establish the data model between the tables. Okay, these are the things, this data analysis we'll be discussing in the Power Pivot, which is one of the important part in the Power BI. That's why the people are calling them as data analysis software. And next one, we call it as, some people are calling this Power BI, they are calling it as visualization software. So since the starting of my class, I am saying with the help of the Power BI, you can create the visuals. So within when after this, if I show you the tool, like I will explain you in the live how to install that Power BI and how we can connect the data and how to establish the relationship between the tables. But first you need to understand, when you understand this background idea, then if I explain, take you to some practical session, it becomes very easy for you to interpret the things very easily. So with the help of the Power BI, you are able to create some visuals with the help of the graphs, with the help of different graphs, visuals, where we can create some visuals by using the Power BI. That's why some people are calling this as a visualization software. And once with the help of summers, we have created some 5 or 10 visuals. And what is the final? Final, we will create the report from that visuals, right? So with the help of the Power BI, you can create the reports, and these reports you are sharing to the clients. That's why the Power BI, we are calling it as reporting software. It is a reporting software. And this ETL, data analysis, this visualization, this reporting, all these are coming, these process are coming under from the data analytics, and simply they are calling it as data analytics software. Okay, there may be a different terminology, but finally, if the persons are calling it as a ETL software because it has a power query within that. That's why they are calling it as ETL software. They're calling a data analysis software because with the help of the Power BI, you can do the data analysis where you can have the Power Pivot where you can build the relationship between the tables. With the help of the Power BI, you can create the visuals and reports. That's why they are calling it as visualization software and reporting software. And entire this process are coming under the data analytics. Some people are calling it as data analytics software. And all these are coming under the business intelligence, right? Connecting the data. So Power BI is performing the process of business intelligence. That's why the Power BI, they're calling it as a business intelligence software. Now, I'm saying why this Power BI has picked very fast in the market. So before we have some interesting, amazing tools like Tableau. Now and then you can see some people are still, many organizations are using some micro strategy, ClickSense, and Tableau, and now Power BI. Now, the first question comes into mind, why the people are more, why the organizations are converting their projects where they have built the report by using MicroStrategy or ClickSense or Tableau, why they are migrating to the Power BI? Because first, this Power BI is a product of Microsoft. This product is launched, this Power BI, it has launched in the year of 2017. But in the first, within the launch of 2017, 18, it slowly it has came into the limelight. People have came to understand what is the advantage of the Power BI. But during the time of 2019, during the time of COVID pandemic, most of the organizations are start using this Power BI. So once in the 2019 and 20, so most of or more than half of the market has captured by the Power BI since the launch of only the 2 years. The reason being, it has got with the help of, we have seen that in the Power BI we have a Power Query where we have which will perform the ETL process very efficiently. A person who is having some knowledge on English, the person with the help of this ETL transformation, we have many menu based options. It's like an Excel options where a person can understand, where person can perform the ETL process very easily. That's why it has picked up very fast in the market. And second, it is very user friendly. There is no that much technical knowledge involved in using this. And we can create some dynamic and interactive visuals. That visuals like just most of the things in the Power BI will goes by drag and drop option. Okay, a person, but for which visual, for this data, what is the best visual that I can use for this? If you develop such type of the common sense, then handling the data by using the Power BI is not a big thing. So the user interface is very easy. And the most thing is, as this is a product of Microsoft, every month by month, this tool is adding some new features into the tool. Because in order to sustain the competition, in order to be in the race for the longer period, this Microsoft, this Power BI is adding some innovations, a little bit of innovation every month, and it's creating, yes, in this month we have added this. And as the tool is constantly innovating, that's why it is maintaining its pace in the competition. You can example like an Excel, which was used by your fathers and grandfathers, but still why you are using the Excel? The Excel is a product of Microsoft. Still we are depending upon for any small calculations of it. Still there are many calculations that you are using by performed by Excel, but there is no good competitor for the Excel. The reason being different type of the versions of Excel are coming now and then. Some new type of features are adding into the Excel. So the only reason is it is constantly updating in order to resist the competition, in order to be in the competition for the long time. And those options of understanding that Excel options are also very user friendly. Okay, understanding the Excel is not a that much big deal if you learn to the heart. So that's why a tool which is able to use by a non-technical background person, where you have some menu based option where you can operate easily, and we have many interactive visuals. With that of the visuals, you can play with any kind of the data. And finally, it is a Microsoft product which is constantly innovating. So these are the thing. And terms of the cost wise also, it is providing very cost effectiveness. In terms of security also, in terms of the security also, this Power BI is this is owing due to the presence of this type of the advanced features. The Power BI is becoming, it has become the market leader, where the Tableau has been the market for many years. It has able to compete with that beautiful tool, and now it is becoming the market leader in the. It is not only any organization they are using the Power BI, maybe healthcare, finance, we can, it may be their retail business, and you cannot able to, it is very surprised, a very small organizations who are having a startup company or 5 or 6 or 10 members, they are using the Power BI. So for the visualization, if you want to create the reports, and first they are coming into their mind, it is a Power BI. And some freelancing projects in the last 3 or 4, it was very surprised to know even the small organizations like this Apollo Pharmacy, Sri Chaitanya Educational Institutions, the Sneha Chicken, this type of very, even the small organizations, they are using the reporting purpose for the Power BI. And you can see a very organization, the bigger organizations like Amazon, Flipkart, there may be some 100 millions of organizations. So that means the emergence of this, the Power BI is penetrated very fast, even very small organizations for the visualization or reporting purpose, they are using the Power BI. And if you provide this information in the form of visuals, it will provide a lot of meaning. So suppose if you provide this data in the bar chart, same if I provide this data in the form of Excel. If I say which category is having the highest sales, now you can directly say this bar chart height, the category A is having highest sales. Which is having the least sales? You can say category E and category F are having the least sales by looking at this graph. But if I provide this data in the form of Excel with the rows, for every question I ask, you need to scan all the rows in the Excel. It will take a lot of time. When you store in the form of a non-visual format, justly in the form of Excel. Now, if I look at this region, like if I somebody, if I, any, which region is having highest sales, and 90% of the people by using this 45% North America is having the highest sales. The reason behind is once you provide the data in the form of the visuals, so it becomes very easy to interpret the data to analyze the information for the client instead of providing in the form of just in the rows in the Excel. Because it becomes very different. If you look at the data in the form of Excel, it create difference. If you provide the data in the form of visuals, it will create some difference. If you provide the data in the form of some videos, it will create some difference. Okay. So that is the reason these visuals will represent the meaningful information. By using the Power BI, you can create some amazing visuals. More than you have 50 to 60 different types of charts are there that you will be studying in coming classes. And now first you need to understand, I'm saying the data analysis. This is called a data analytics. Power BI will perform the analysis of data analytics. First, you need to understand some of the people from a different background. First, you need to understand what actually the data analysis is. Then you can able to understand what exactly the data analysis is. This is very important for a person to understand, because if you're learning the tool which perform the data analysis, it will perform the data analytics. It is a basic thing for a person to understand what is actually data analysis. The technical thing you can understand, because in the coming 60 or 65 hours of the class, we'll study on only one tool called as Power BI. So it is not a that much big. It is not a magic thing to understand the Power BI, because you learn only one tool for 60 odd days, and every person who understand the classes regularly can able to understand it. But first you need to understand what is data analysis. See, before understand, I will give some technical terms. Any organization, the place, what is meant by database. Okay. Any organization, suppose they will just store the data. If you are a small organization having some, like suppose I'm conducting the demo, if I want to store your information, how many people are attended the session. So I don't store the data in the form of a big database. Like I will store simpler data in the Excel format. Okay. Suppose if the organization is very huge, we having some 10,000 employees, they will store the data. If the data size is more, they will store the data in the form of some database. The first one, you need to understand first point, what actually is a data source. This is a common word they will use. That data source is nothing but the place where the organization will store the data is called as data source. Now, I want to store my students' data, like suppose 15, 20 students will join my class. I will store in the data in the form of Excel. That Excel is my data source. Okay, the place where any organization will store the data, we call it as data source. So if it is a small organization, the place where the business company store the business data, or we call it as transactional data, we call it as data source. If that is a small organization, they will store in some Excel. If it is a larger organization, they will store in the database like SQL Server or Oracle database. So this data, we call it as OLTP. The place where the organization will store the data, if it is a database, we call it as OLTP, online transaction process. So now this data will be, if we store the data, most of the time, the data may not be in the form of organized format. Okay. So through the tools, like supposing through some tools, we will perform some ETL process. This data may be somewhat when you look at the OLTP will, this data will the store contains more tables. It may contain some unstructured data. Okay, when the data may be in, if the data is not in the organized format, the data may be in some unorganized format. Suppose if I ask you the persons, give your mobile number, just I will type in the Excel. Some will type as mobile number as MOB number. Some will type as heading, they will give the heading as contact number. Some will people as MOB. Some people will type as phone number. So they will give the heading in different format. But when I want to use the data into the database, if I want to perform analysis, I will give a single name, contact number, and I will store your mobile numbers. If I ask me to give your PIN code, type your PIN code. If I give the column, you will type it. But if I just give your PIN code, you will say P.C. Some will type as PINCOD. Some will type as P.C. Some will type as PC. So everything information is the title is same PIN code, but every person is storing that, giving the header in a different format. If I use that data without streamlining the data, without giving only one common name, if I try to create the visuals, then my visuals will go wrong. So that is called as unstructured data. You need to convert, if you want to use the data load into Power BI, you convert the data, you should convert the data, you should convert the data into a organized format. Then only you need to build the reports. If I ask for the name, like ask for the full name, they will, some will give only start name. My name is Janardhan Patipaka. Some I may keep it as Janardhan. Just I'm called J.P. P dot Janardhan, Janardhan dot P. Like that I will give. But if I follow some pattern, like first name, then comes to the last name, and I want every cell in that particular Excel to stored in the uniform format, then if I try to create the visual from that, then it will create one, it will create a sense. Okay, so that if in the case of online transactional processing, where first the organization may store the data in the form of some, the unstructured data may be present. But by using the ETL, you convert the data into OLAP, online analytical processing. That means you will convert the unstructured data into structured data and will store in the database, that we call it as OLAP. Once the unstructured data will be converted into structured data by performing some ETL transformation on OLTP, we call it this as OLAP databases. And while connecting, we will connect to this OLAP database, and we will create the reports, and this create reports will contain actionable information. What is meant by actionable information? The information that visuals that you create, it will be used by the client to take its business action. That's why we call that is called as actionable information. That means this report will used by the client to perform his business action. Now once you create the report, what you will do, once you will share the report to the client, and you can publish in one web-based platform, and you can share it to the client, and client will utilize this business. It will utilize this report for his business. So this process is called as data analysis. That means store the data. First you will store the data and connect to the data in any database. From that you will perform some ETL process. That means you will clean up your data. So the unstructured data is called OLTP, this database. After performing the ETL, we call the database called as OLAP database. From the OLAP database, you will create the reports. This report is used by the client. These reports are shared to the client, and this client will use these reports for his business. So this is called as data analysis. This process called as data analysis. And it is never recommended to create the reports directly. It is possible that you can connect directly to this database and you can create the reports. It is possible, but it will carry no meaning, because this data will contain some unstructured and data, and this data is not cleaned data. That means the data is not in a uniformed format. Suppose if I ask date, simple, what is the date, today's date? If I want to give one column the Excel, I want to store the, I will ask you to create, store the, what is today's date? Suppose today, October 5th. Some people will type as October 5th, 2025. Some will type as 5/10/2025. Some will type as MMDD YY format. Some will type as October OCT 25. Some will type as October 2025. So within a single date, some will give short date, some will give long date, some will write full name date, some will store as 10 hash 10 5 2025. But if I want to use the date in a single, I will need to store it in a single format, either DDMMYY, first date October 05 hyphen 10 2025. So that is called as unified data, structured data. So it is never recommended to create the report directly from this OLTP database. First, you need to apply the ETL transformation. You need to convert the data into structured data, convert the data into OLAP. From this OLAP, you need to connect the data, you need to create the report and share to the client. See, to move the data from OLTP into OLAP, we need some ETL software. Okay, in the Power BI also, once we connect to the data, we need to perform ETL operations. Now to perform the ETL operation, we have one tool within the Power BI that is called as Power Query. Okay, so this is called as data analysis. Now, first of all, from the starting of the business, from the starting of my lecture, I'm saying structured. I'm using the words called structured and unstructured data, synchronous or asynchronous data. Okay, uniform, ununiform data, or unified data. So what is the difference between the structured and unstructured data? This is a simple example. You can example I'm saying we have the serial number of 7 countries. We have country and country by sales. If you want to store the country by sales, the United States sales is 100. If I type of United States without providing the uniform format, some people store the United States are United States. They are giving total name. US, some will type it as United States US. Some will type it as USA. Some may type as U.S.A. Some will type as United States of America, and they are giving the sales. Okay. United Kingdom also 100. Some will type as UK. Some will consider it as U.K and they will give the values. But when you give this data and you will create the bar chart, the Power BI will give the chart in this way. Okay. But it will think that every country, country, it is thinking it as a separate country. You know that United States, US, USA, United States of America, it is of country US. But Power BI as a tool, you don't know, right? It will consider it as a separate each country. So it will analyze what is the row head. This is a header, row header, country sales. For every country, it is giving the values. That means you have not performed any ETL transformation. And if you provide this graph and you will provide this information to the client, your client will go panic. The reason being, I have provided the data of only United 2 countries data and you are providing this data and your values will go wrong. Now what you will do, by using the Power Query, you will apply the ETL transformation and you will country all the countries. You will be United States, you know this, right? You will be converting into see all this United States. So this is United States, United States, United Kingdom, UK, United Kingdom. Now you will build a graph for this. You can create a visual. So the United States is 1500. That means the sales of all this 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. This is 900 plus 100, 1400 plus 100, 1500. So your value comes to 1500. And United Kingdom is both 100 plus 200, 300. Now this is the correct data. So this is called as structured data. In a country is their column, and inside that country column, all the values are stored in uniform format. United States, you have a single format it is maintained. If it is United Kingdom country name, it is a unified format. United Kingdom it is maintained, and you have created the visuals, and you will get the correct visuals. So this is called as structured data. And if you don't clean up the data, suppose this type of the data is stored in these databases, like this OLTP, this maybe we chance this type of the data stored. Now you will apply some ETL transformation. You will clean up the data, and in these databases, it will store the data in the unified format. So without cleaning your data, without performing the ETL operation, you will get the visuals. That visuals will not carry the meaningful information. But if you clean the data, this data will create some meaningful information. Okay. So that is the difference between structured and unstructured data. And every time, if in the first step before creating the visuals, in the first, if you get any project, first you will work on the data. You will fix your data issues. Once your data issues are fixed, then only you will come to you will try to establish the relationship between the tables, and you will create the visuals, and you will can share it to the client. So this is a process that you will be when you work on a project. This ETL process is a very important step. First you need to clean up your data, and next data analysis using the Power BI. Okay, now the first thing is how you can perform the data analysis. Okay, so first thing with is called as Power BI desktop. First you need to understand what how we can. I will show the interface of the Power BI and how we connect the data, what is Power Query, what is Power Pivot, what is Power View. So first let us understand this slide, and after understand this slide, and I will try to go through the in Power BI tool, and I will explain you how the Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View will look. So now when you look at Power BI, I already said the Power BI is called as it is a collection of software. So first of all, once you look at 90% of when you join as a Power BI developer, the first thing you will do, you will install the Power BI desktop into your system. This is a free tool, which is a Power BI from the Microsoft tool store or from the Google. You can download the Power BI desktop. First, you will download the Power BI desktop. With the in this Power BI desktop only, you will develop your reports. You will build your reports. That's why this Power BI desktop is called as developmental software. Okay. Now, within the first thing after installing this Power BI desktop into your local system, now this Power BI desktop will have three parts. The first one, it consisting of three softwares. The first one we call it as Power Query. So once you collect to the data with the help of Power Query, with the help of this software, we will perform the ETL software, ETL operations. That means with the help of that, you can collect the data, you can transform the data, and you can load the data. And for making the transformation in the Power Query, you have hundreds of menu based options. By using this menu based options, you will able to perform this ETL process. So in the first 10 hours of the classes, 10 to 15 classes, we'll be discussing about Power Query, which will perform ETL operation. Next one, in the next 15 hours of the classes, we'll be discussing about Power Pivot. Power Pivot data which is used to create this Power Pivot in this, which is useful for to create or which is used to perform do the data analysis. So you have done the loaded the data in the form of tables. You will try to establish the relationship between the tables. Okay, you will able to create some schemas. You will understand what is star schema. We will be try to build a data model between the tables. That means if you load 10 or 20 tables, by using the 10 or 20 tables, very simple example. Suppose the data is stored in the form of tables, 10 tables. You have loaded the data by using the Power Query you have loaded. Now, this 10 table, by using this 10 tables, you need to create the reports. You need to create the table. Now, first, you need to establish the relationship between these tables. For that, you need to create one data model. Okay, those type of creating the relationship, creating the data model between the tables, those you will be studying in the Power Pivot, establishing the relationship, building the data model, creating the active and inactive relationship. Those concepts will be covered. Those data analysis concept we will be discussing in the Power Pivot. And in this also, while learning the Power Pivot, the most important thing we will be discussing, we'll learn how to write DAX expressions. And most important thing, this Power BI, they are marketing this tool. They are marketing this tool as a no code or low code tool. No code means they are not using any code. But cleverly, they are using another word called as low code or no code tool. No code tool. That means low code means there is some coding is also involved in the Power Pivot, like in writing some formulas. Those formulas are called as those expressions we call it as DAX. So by learning the DAX, we will be dedicating 10 to 12 hours for learning only DAX. Okay. If you have some basic knowledge on Excel, it is well and good. But if you don't have knowledge and zero knowledge on Excel, then also you can able to write the DAX code. So this is the only area the people might be facing the difficulties for writing the DAX expression. And once these classes will start, I request everyone, don't miss this DAX classes, because we are going to exclusively will be discussing about, we'll try to cover each and every topic from basic to the advanced level while writing the DAX expression. Now the last one, the third one, we call it as Power View. First, we have cleaned the data by using the ETL software, Power Query completed. You have loaded the tables, you have established the data model, and you have created some calculations by using the DAX, and everything is complete. Next, you are ready to create your reports and ready to create your visuals. Now, creating these visuals and report by using the different visualization visuals which are present in the Power BI, we call it as Power View. That's why Power BI, they're calling it is a reporting software which is used to create the reports. Okay, this is a report. Now, this Power BI, ETL transformation, building the reports, creating the visuals, this entire process we will be doing by installing one software called as Power BI Desktop into your local system. So 80% of the time, 90% of the time you will be investing here only for developing the reports. That's why the Power BI Desktop, we call it as developmental software. And once you have, see, suppose this is my system, I have downloaded the report, have established ETL perform operations, have established the relationship, have created the report. Now what is the next step? The report is into your local system. Reason being, you have installed the Power BI Desktop and you have created the report, right? Now the report will be in your local system. Next one, you need to share this report to the client, right? You need to share the report to the client. So in order to share this report to the client, you will be using some web-based form platform, an online web-based Azure cloud-based platform we are using. That platform, by using this form platform, we are able to share the report to the client. Those web-based platform, we call it as Power BI service. So once you create the report, you will publish the report into the Power BI service. After publishing the report, you will give the access permission to the client. From this Power BI service, he can able to access your report where he may be present at the different location. So those type of how to publish the report, how to schedule the report, refresh the report, how to give the access permission, and how to add the incremental refresh. So those type of the concept we will be discussing in Power BI service. Okay, simply the Power BI, because you have developed the report, but you need a platform to publish the report. You need a platform where the client can access your report or present it somewhere. So the online web-based platform where you can publish the report, where you can share the report to the client, where you can give the access permission to your client, that online web-based platform, we call it as Power BI service. Now there is another Power BI report service, which is a on-premises software, but nowadays we are not using it. Now what is Power BI mobile? That means it is like a mobile app. So with the Power BI, we can view the reports in the form of an app, like in the mobile, in the tabs or iPad. That is called as Power BI mobile. But most of the thing, first you need to understand this Power BI service in the Power BI desktop. First we will be discussing about what is Power Query, first 15 hours of the classes. Next we move to Power Pivot. Next we need to understand how to create the visuals by using Power BI service. And the fourth part, we will be discussing about Power BI service. Okay, this is the entire course of the data analysis. How we will be discussing about the Power BI service. Now, let us see, we have discussed about what is Power. First, you need to understand, once this theoretical concept are clear in your mind, now I will try to explain, I will show you how this Power BI tool looks, how to load the data, where we can see this Power Query menu based option, where you can see the tables that you load and how to publish the reports, and where how can you can create the visuals by using the Power View. Okay. Now Suppose already I have in the next class, I will explain how to install the Power BI desktop. But once you install the Power BI desktop, there is a two process. If the Microsoft Store is there in your system, you can install the Power BI desktop directly from here. In case if the Microsoft Store is not there in your system, you can download the Power BI desktop, which is a free version from the Google as well. But as of now, suppose think that you have a Microsoft Store in your system. Just in this search button, type as Microsoft Store, open it. Here, one search bar will be open. Here you can type it as Power BI desktop just or open. Once you click on Power BI desktop open, as Power BI desktop is already installed in my system, it is showing the option as open. But if it is not installed in your system, instead of this open, it will show a option called as download. Just once you click on this download, it will navigate you next. It will like how while installing any app or something, it will show the options like click on next until you will get a button called finish. Then you need to click on the next. The Power BI desktop will be installed in your system. For me, the download is not coming as an option because I'm been teaching for many people. Power BI desktop is already installed in my system. That's why it is showing as open. Okay, now I am typing it as open. So once you after installing, it will show an open. See Power BI desktop. The icon will be coming over here. That means you can able to open your Power BI desktop. Let me close it. Here, see. Once we open the Power BI desktop, this type of interface will be opening to you. Now from this, you need to click on this blank report. You can open on this blank report. See, once you open the blank report, this is the interface that you can see. This is the Power BI desktop. So in the next 60 hours of the classes, you will be discussing on this understanding this Power BI interface, and with the help of this, how you can create the reports. Okay, this is generally tool, right? The first thing is with the help of Power BI desktop, I told we can connect to the data. How you can connect the data? Simply, I will explain how to connect the data in this as it is a demo class. How you can, because we have learned the things theoretically. First, you need to understand how we can connect the data. So once you install the Power BI desktop, there is an option here. We call it as C. Once you click here, this option we call it as data source section, where you can connect to different data. You can connect to Excel, you can connect to data flow, SQL Server. So you can connect to web-based, that means online link you can connect. You can convert to blank queries. When you click on more, you can connect to PDFs, you can connect to PowerPoint, you can connect to some hundreds of data source. What is meant by data source? The company where they store the business information, we call it as data source. So like this hundreds of the data source you can connect. But for as you know, the Excel is a common, everyone cannot. I will explain how to connect that Excel, how to load the data which is there in Excel into your Power BI desktop. So here how to load, just click on this icon, Excel workbook. Once you Excel workbook, so I have loaded some files are there in my downloads. Okay, here some files are there. So I will try to load one data called as suppose sample superstore data. One Excel file is there. Okay. So I want to connect this Excel file. See .xls means Excel. Just you need to click on that. Once you click on this, there is an option called as open. So once you click on open, see it is connecting to the data. Right. So that is sample store Excel. It has three sheets. One is order sheet, one is people sheet, one is written sheet. So whatever the data it is there, sheets are there, it will appear as a tables over here. Now I want to load this order table, people table, returns table. So if you want to load the order table, just you need to click on this icon and it will show you what, once you click on this, it will show what type of information is there in that particular table. So it has row ID, order date. So it is ship date, ship mode, customer ID, customer name, segment, country, city, state. These type of the columns are there in this particular table. That means this is a sales table where different customers are ordering their product. For every product we have order date. When when the product is shipped, it is having ship date, how they are shipping the product, what is the customer ID, who is the customer order the product, from which country, from which state, from which what is the postal code, from which region is ordering the product. If they are ordering the product, what is product ID? If they are ordering the product, which category it is belonging, category, which subcategory it is belonging, what is the product name they are ordering, what is the sales of that product, how many quantity they are ordering, how much discount we got for that particular product, how much profit. That means those type of once you click, those type of information will appear over here if you want to see it in the purview section. If you click on, if you want to load the another table like this, okay, people's table, you can select the people. If you want to see people, this the information is there. If you load the returns table, select this. So you have selected these three tables. Now you want to load the tables, right? So once the tables are to select the tables, you need to click on the icon. Automatically the green button will appear and the tick mark will appear, and then you can click on load. Once you click on the load, the data will be loaded into the Power. See, it is loading. That means this data may be stored in your desktop or somewhere, but you are getting the data. You are loading the data into Power BI desktop. This process is called as extraction. The data which is stored in somewhere in your local system in the desktop, you are getting the data into Power BI desktop. That process of loading the data into your Power BI tool, we call it as extraction and loaded. So you can ask me, sir, how where I can see the data which is loaded? See, you can see in this data section. You can open, these are the columns. It is, you have loaded the data. These are the columns that we have seen just now. People, these are the columns we have loaded. You can see it in the data section. Written, this is the data. So here you are able to only see the columns. But if you want to see what type of the data it is there, so for that, you need to go to this section called as table view. Once you go to the table view, whatever the data which is there in this particular tables, you can see in the form of tabular format. So you can see the table. See, if I click on any one of the cells, see the data we have seen like order ID, order date, ship mode, customer ID, customer, that we have seen, right? You can see the data in the form of tabular format. If you close, it will. If you want to see the data which is in the people table, just click on any one column. So in the people table, you have this data. If you want to see the data in the returns table, open this, click on any one column. You can see the data. Okay, like that you can able to that process we call it as extraction. You can load the data into this. Now you have loaded these three tables, right? So now next step we call this is data model. What are the tables that you have loaded? You can see here. See orders table, people table, returns table. These three are loaded, right? That table will be appear over here. Now you can create the relationship. How to create the relationship, that we'll be discussing in the next class. So here you can create the data model. I have seen like Power Pivot, right? In the Power BI, you load the tables. If you want to build a visual by using this order table and people table, I want to establish I need to establish the relationship between some table. I need to establish the relationship between this order table and returns table. How you establish the relationship, that you will be studying in the next class. Now this is how you can load the data. Now there is another option called as this is data. This is a visualization pane. Okay. What is meant by visualization pane? In the third part we have discussed, right? In the third part, uh, yes, I want to view the latter. In the third part, Power View, I have said with the help of the Power View, we can able to create the visualized tool. Power Query, we can make the transformation. Power Pivot, we can build. Power View means with Power View means we can create the reports, right? We can create this visuals. By using these visuals, you can create the reports. So very simple, like I want this order table. In the order table, I have region. See, this is the region. In the order table, I have sales. I want to create one chart region by sales. So if I want to create suppose pie chart, I want to create one chart. Which one? Pie chart. Select the pie chart. I want region by sales, right? Select the region. Region will appear. I want region by sales. Select the sales. You will get region by sales over here. See, you can able to create the visual. Now, if I want to create another chart like a year by sales, suppose I want year by sales. Okay, in one line chart. In line chart, how each year was. Oh, I want to create the tables year by sales in a table. So in order to create the table, what you will do? Click on this empty space. Just select the table. Okay, table. I want year by sales, right? In the year where you have order date, open this, select the year. So you will get the years. I want year by sales, just select the sales. So you will see how much each year is performed. Just open this. The total sales 20 lakhs, each year how much it is making. So by using this visuals, you can able to create the reports. You can create the visuals. Suppose they are asking category by sales. I want this donut chart. How you can select? Just select the donut chart over here. I want category by sales, right? Select the category. Select the sales category. How much is category? Technology is making this much sale. Furniture is making this much sales. Office supply is making this. So this is the area where you can create your reports. As of now, I'm not using the formatting options. We can create the borders. You can change the colors. That is a different. Once you look on the Power View, how to make some cosmetic changes to make your visuals more appealing. Okay. See, this is by using this charts and in while studying the Power View, we can come to each and every part. You'll study about each and every visual. There's 50 visual that you will able to study each and line by line. We'll go and study how each chart will be useful in creating the visuals and in which scenario, the only thing you need to develop, in which scenario, which visual is the best one to use. That is the common sense that you need to develop. Blindly you should not create. If you create any chart, it will give you the options. It will create a visual for you. And coming now, you can see region wise sales, you are able to create this. But if you don't know how to create the visuals, okay, this chart selecting, I will open new page. I will open one visual like question and answer visual. Okay, question and answer. I will ask a question here. Region or category, I will say category. I mean asking pie chart category sales. I'm typing as pie chart category by sales. I'm typing as okay. See, it is creating the pie chart and it is giving you the category wise sales. Here is sum of sales by region, right? I'm reviewing the region. Okay. I'm giving the category. So you are getting 791 point. Here you are manually creating, but you have given the question and chart. If you don't have idea, just if you give the prompt like using the visual, it will create the chart and it will give for you. So this type of amazing features are available in the Power BI. If you'll ask, if you'll ask create a chart for pie chart, category by sales, you are saying I don't want the pie chart. You can ask for donut chart for category sales. See, it will convert into this donut chart. And you can ask if you convert into table, just you give the commands, automatically it will create the visual. Not only this, you have different type of amazing visuals. So it is only how to use the tools. If you don't have the ability that which visual that you will be using, like so such type of moving, each visual will have some purpose, like for which visual I want to take for which data, which will be the accurate visual to use. If you develop such type of the common sense, building the reports will become easy. Okay. Now we have seen this Power View, how to create Power Query. I have said detail many informations are like menu based options are there, right? I have said. So here we are in the report view, how you can go to from Power BI desktop, how you can go to Power Query. So here, when you click on these three dots, once you load the report, when you click on this three dot, okay. So here there is an option called as transform data. Power Query used for transform data. Once you click on this transform data, you will go to one software called as Power Query. See, in the Power Query, you have this options. In the Home tab, you have this many options. In the Transform tab, you have this options. In the Add column, you have some options. In the View tab, this many options. All these options are useful to transform your data, to convert your unorganized data into organized data. Okay. In the first 15-hour classes, you will go to the Power Query one by one, whatever the option. These are more than 150, 160 options are there. Those 160 options we will be discussing in live by taking the data. After completing of this Power Query, and everyone who is attending the classes will able to use every option. We'll go option by option and cover each and how each and every menu based options will be helpful for you. See, suppose if I select this, go to choose. Suppose if I select the choose columns, okay, I got to choose the columns. All these options are there. If I select only one order ID, okay, if I select on only order, suppose if I go to, suppose I select this column, suppose you are in this column, there are many types of options. Remove columns. Okay. When you select the remove column, this column will be removed. That is one of the transformations. See, remove. Row ID is removed. If I select only these two, there are many columns. I select remove columns instead of remove other columns. That means these two columns will be there. All columns will be removed. See how many columns are there. So one example I'm saying, see, there are many columns are there. I want to remove all other columns. I want to keep only these columns. We'll go to remove other columns. These two columns will be there and all columns will be removed. Like that, each and every menu based option, more than 150 options are there in each tab. All these options are useful to perform your ETL operation. And why the Power Query, the Power BI has got great demand in the market, because all these Power Query transformations are very user friendly, a very easy to use without any, because in this, while using the Power Query, there is no coding is involved. Everything is menu based option. In the Excel, you want to use this, you will write some codes. But here, for everything, a code is created, but this code is written. It will automatically at the backend Power BI will write the code for yourself. See, I used removed column, the code is written, it is backend. Already Power BI, while doing the transformations only, it will write a backend code for you. Remove other columns also. See, it has removed order ID, order date. It has retained this order ID and order date and removed all other. So it has created the backend, it has created the code. So all these options are menu based options where a person who's having a knowledge on common English can understand these options. And that's why the Power BI has got a lot of importance in the market. Okay. And while in the classes, in the first, when you start the live classes, we'll study with the home page and study how every menu based options will be helpful for converting, how to convert your data, how we can perform the ETL operations by using this Power Query, by using menu based option, we'll be studying. Now from there, if you want to go from your Power Query, now you want to go to again back, simply you can click on this close and apply. Just you click on close and apply, you will come to Power BI desktop. Okay. Now why your data is deleted? Tell me. Because I went to here, right? I went to transform data. There have deleted all other columns. That is the reason. I have deleted only order ID. Order date is there. Remove all the data have removed. That's why your visual will get the errors. Like that, you need to understand what is the import first. That's why you need to play with this data, that Power Query, how you can play with the data, how to make the transformation accordingly. your visuals will be reporting over here. This is the Power BI desktop. From now, if you want to go to the transform data where Power BI desktop to, from there, if you want to go, just click on the transform data. You will go here. Power BI. Now you remove all the other steps. These steps I am removing. See, I have removed all the other steps. Okay. Now it is as it is. From here, if you want to go there, just click on close and apply. Now see, again, you will get the visuals. Okay. So this is called as actually, now I want to publish the report, right? Just you click on publish. You want this, it will ask you want to save changes. I want to save. So we need to save this location in the some file, and to publish, you need to create some access permission. So how to publish the report, how to share, how to create the workspace, and you need to create one Power BI service account. That is a free account that you can create. For the 2 months, you can create 2 months, you can use the free trial version of the Power BI service. Once you have account only, then you can able to publish the reports and you can share the report to the client. So here, once the development is part, you can click on the publish, and every organization will have a separate workspace, and they will provide the Power BI Pro license for you from it, and they will provide the workspace. There you can publish the report, and from there you can give the access to the client, and client will access the information. And if you don't understand how to navigate this, it's not a problem, because as this is the first I want to show you the live what is. If I generally explain the theoretically, this is Power Query, but first you need to understand, I need to show how the ETL, what are the options which are there in the Power Query. You need to understand Power Pivot, where the tables we load, how to establish the relationship, you need to get idea. Power View means how to, there are some graphs and tables, from that you can create the visuals. Then if you're able to understand this theoretical concept, then you can able to understand in the live classes how you can build the reports. Okay. Now entire discussion that we have discussed, we'll be discussing here in Power BI architecture. See, Power BI architecture, what is meant by Power BI architecture? See, first this Power BI desktop is, this is the Power BI desktop that we have shown you. In the Power BI desktop, we have Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View that have shown. So any organizations will store the data, right? If the smaller organization, they will store data in Excel file. If they're larger organization, they will store the data in databases. First step, what you will do, you will connect the data. That means you will connect the data which is stored given by the client. If they store in the Excel, you will connect to the data. After connecting the data, we will load it into the Power Query. In the Power Query, what you will do, you make the transformations. Okay, ETL process. Now you will move the data into where? Power Pivot. That means you load the tables. You will establish the relationship between the tables, one-to-one, many to relationship, that you will establish the relationship between the table. That means you will analyze the tables. Then you will move the data into Power View. In the Power View, what you will do, you will create the visuals by using the graph that we have seen. And after that, where you will do, you will, after creating the report, this report will publish. Where you will publish? You will publish in one cloud-based platform. What is a cloud-based platform where you will publish? Power BI service. Once you publish the report, what you will do? You will share the report. To whom you will share the reports? To the client. From here, the client what will do? He will use that information, the reports. He will take some business actions to improve his business. This is called as Power BI architecture. First, when you join the company will provide you these files, Excel files or that. You will connect the data. You will do the ETL process. You will establish the relationship. You will create the reports. You will publish the reports. Publish the report in Power BI service. You will give the access from there. You will share the reports to the client, and client will use the information. So this is called as entire Power BI architecture. Once you join in any company, see, this is also same information I will give in the graph. Like Power BI desktop, you will publish from Power BI service. From that, you can share the report. The client may access the report in the form of some iPad. Sometimes you can store the information through desktop. You can use the information, access the information in through mobile. Right. Now Tableau versus Power BI. This already I have discussed. This is the last slide. Like how you can, why the Tableau has taken, Power BI has taken the position of the Power BI. How the, even the Tableau was a market leader, but why Power BI has taken its place? First one, integrated to Microsoft system, because Power BI can integrate all Excel in as it is a Microsoft environment. You can integrate with all Microsoft products, Microsoft Excel, Azure, SQL Server. All these are Microsoft products, right? So it can easily integrate. But if you want to do it Tableau, you need to make some additional configuration. Now, why it is second is cost effectiveness. When compared to Power BI and Tableau, generally the cost is less, but Tableau high initial cost is more. But because if you look at both are providing the same quality, both are providing same security, and one product you are getting low price, one product you are getting high price, which product you will go? Definitely the product which is having low you will go. That's probably cost effective. And you have the two tools. One tool has very menu based option, easy to use. Options are very easy. For some tools, the options are complicated. It is not user friendly to use. There is some lot of technical knowledge is involved. Which tool you will use? That means ease of use. It is very user friendly. Power BI, like I have seen, like Power Query, menu based options are very user friendly. That's why they are shifting to Power BI. Power Query and data transformation. We have in Power Query, I have shown you some hundreds of menu based options are there. From that you can transform your data very easily. That's why due to presence of strong ETL presence also, they are using the Power BI. Natural language process. Just now I have explained you. If you don't know how to create the chart, I just have typed question and answer which I created, create a visual, create a graph for region vessels. I have typed automatically. I got the graph. That is the natural language query. That means, see, powerful Q&A tool, question and answer tool. You are giving commands, it is creating that. It is creating the visuals for you. So that type of natural caring, it is highly advanced. That's why Power BI is taking the chance. Security and governance, very robust security. You can store in the cloud-based platform where your environment is very secure. That is one of the real-time data analytics. You can perform the very data, uh, real-time data analytics very fast when compared to the Tableau. Microsoft Azure. Azure is all Microsoft and it is a Microsoft product. Integration of Azure is also very easy when compared to this Tableau. Community learning. See, in Power BI, the most thing is, I will put it this at the first point. In the Power BI, we have a community learning is there. That means you have any doubt, you can post in the Power BI community. Most of the people will give, many hundreds of the people will answer your question. While working, you are stuck anywhere. You can create a question and put in the community. Most of the people will answer to yes, this is the issue I have faced and this is a better solution. But Tableau is also have a Power BI community, but Tableau community is there, but is not that much active. If you put a questions and if they may answer it for 1 or 2 days. But in Power BI community, very active community is there. Just you drop your question, they will give different type of methods to approach different type of methods to give a solution for you, your query. Next, this updates and innovation. I have explained in the first point while starting this course. This tool tab Power BI is innovating month by month. Every month it is adding some innovative feature to it in order to retain its competition in the market. That's why in the coming 10 or 5 years also Power BI, they are very confident that Power BI will be there in the market because the R&D team is working very rigorously to update that, to add some new features, to add some updates to the available tool so that no other tool can compete it. You can ask me, sir, previous it was MicroStrategy, then was ClickSense, then was Tableau, today Power BI, and tomorrow there may be some tool may come into the picture. Yes, but they are understanding that competition will come in the future and they are constantly innovating the tools so that they can provide the best product in the market. And as it's a Microsoft product, so any product which is released by the Microsoft SQL Server, you see Microsoft, they are used SQL from years of ago, but still they are using SQL. Why? Because that is the product, that is the beauty of the Microsoft. Any product which is coming in the Microsoft will carry a weightage in the market. Okay, come to this how to choose the career path, and this already I have seen the brochure, you have seen it many times, but I am not uh, stretching on it. But thing is, coming to the batch timings, I will extend like once anybody interested in the content, you have my WhatsApp number. Just share your interest and share your mobile number and that you are interested in the course so that we can start the class right from tomorrow. So the batch timing of this course will be 7 to 8 morning. The batch timing will be 7:30 to 8:30. 7:30 to 8:30 will be the batch timing for it. It will be Monday to Friday. And if anybody is interested in the weekend, so based upon the responses, I will try to, if more or 5 students are there in the weekend, I will try to go through the weekend also, weekend batches also. But as of now, weekday batches will start from tomorrow. Timing is 7:30 to 8:30. And along with this, what is required for the SQL will also provide, and for the Power BI developer, and all the class of the Power BI will be live at the end from everyone. And after that, every recording of this class will be provided to you. And one more thing, for the SQL also, we have the expert faculty of the previous batch. The SQL, which is of 60 hours of the classes, will also provided free for a person who want to enroll the Power BI course. And fee details will be right from start. It will be 12,000 for Power BI plus SQL of single time payment. And before joining that, you can understand, you can speak to the previous students also. So, but wherever we'll be trying to go through in the real time examples, and we'll try to go through more, the sessions will be more into practical oriented, where we can able to go through each and every accept into in detail, so that you will get a 4+ or 5+ years of experience person who can understand this things very easily. So even, and one more thing, don't forget that you are not from a non-technical background, and this Power BI is not a platform for me. It is not about you are from a Telugu medium, you are not a, you are from a non-technical background, you don't have an idea of, totally new to the software, then also person can learn the Power BI. It is the thing, because 90% of the Power BI developers who are there, they are from the non-technical background itself. But only the 2 months of the dedications will be required for you, because now the market has picked up recently, and every organization is depending upon the Power BI for creating the reports. So it is a very high time for you to utilize the opportunity. So in coming years, it will going to have a good demand for the market. Okay. And thank you. I will stop the recording. Yeah, if anybody has the questions, please feel